Lord, we thank you for the blessings that this county has given us, Lord, and the citizens that we get to serve. Father, I count it a blessing every day to serve you. And Lord, right now we pray for this meeting, Lord. We pray for wisdom upon everyone, that we have good civil conversation, that we're productive. And Lord, pray all this in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, I think we only have one speaker. Oh, actually, apologize. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We have one person, Ms. Pomeroy, just before we get going here, Ms. Pomeroy noted to me today that he was not going to be able to make it today, so he will be absent. Recognition of the public, I think we have a new speaker who's never spoken to us before. Mr. Kevin Baker.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
424.
Kevin Baker, 424 AB Wade Road, Portland, Tennessee. The first thing, this is going to sound really trivial, but I was looking at the circuit court judge, $17.06 for compensatory time. Then I look at the sheet, and it says straight time overtime paid for an employee. And you know what that signals to me? We potentially have an issue here between what I would call exempt versus non-exempt workers. And I mean, who's getting overtime, but it's just straight time? And I don't know if anybody's looked into this, but you ought to look into it and maybe clarify some things, because I think some of these people are maybe, a little not following the rules. But anyhow, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and again, this is maybe water under the bridge, but on the election cycle, the election commission, I see a chain of emails here where the committee agreed to reduce the following lines and blah, 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 blah. Data processing services, they're going to reduce it by $50,000. I've always been under the impression that our voting machines aren't connected to the internet. If they're not connected to the internet, why do we need data services? To me, that sounds like somebody's manipulating the data bundles. Anyhow, I just was looking at some things and wanted to bring it to your attention. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Excuse me, to approve the minutes.
Yeah, I know what you meant. So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
I'll abstain.
We have one abstention, Ms. Bergdorf. Okay, I have no report, Mr. Mayor.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
All righty. Mr. Warren, your report, sir.
Item A is just the memorandum saying that the financial statements will be available at the county commission, and there will be copies for anybody who would like to have a copy. Item 2 is the revenue monitoring, and we passed them out to get the most up-to-date information today, and it looks like this. You have 3 items that was passed out to you after your packet. They should be in your packet. One of them looks just like this. One looks very similar, so let's do for school revenues. It has. Yes, sir. The first page just shows the distribution of the revenues that are budgeted for your local taxes within the county school and the various funds. Page number 2 represents how I would re-project the revenue today versus budget. If we re-projected all of them countywide out of $236 some odd million, you would bring an additional $4 million, or a little over 1%. These are conservative numbers. The first number, for instance, property tax does include all the appeals right now. The actual revenue amount, we do not think by any means of imagination we're going to lose those. There's about $1.6 million is their best estimate at the state board right now. The rest of the revenues had various variances up and down. Your largest surplus is in sales tax, because we always budgeted rather conservative because we don't know what the economy is going to look like 12 months out. Does anybody have any questions about any individual line items?
Yeah. Sure.
Go ahead. All right.
Just in general, not a line item, but is that $4 million? You said that's conservative, or was just that one line item?
$4 million is countywide out of the 200 and what the actual budget was. Yeah, out of the $236 million, $4 million of that is excess of the budget, which is a little over 1%.
But is conservative estimate between now and the end of?
Yes, sir. We think it'll bring in more than $4
Thank you.
million.
Yes, sir.
So what you're saying there is, if we continue at current trend,
We'll bring more than that.
we'll bring in more than this.
I took the trends and in several instances brought them down because of uncertainty. The closer we get toward the end of the year, the less uncertainty and the higher I'll go. Yes, we do account for uncertainty as much as we can. Next one is the transfers, and if you want me to talk about just to answer the question of what overtime at regular rate means.
Yeah, go ahead, that would be helpful. Given the comments earlier.
Most of our policies say that we go by the wage and hours worked. So that means you earn time and a half if you are a non-exempt employee for hours worked over 40 hours. So that means, for instance, if you have an 8-hour holiday for 8 hours and you work 4 extra hours, you're going to get paid for 44 hours, but the extra 4 hours are going to be at regular rate because you physically didn't work in the office 40 hours. That's what we mean by that. So if you actually did not have a holiday and you worked the 44 hours, it'd be a time and a half. So we do note those for informational purposes, if that makes sense.
Motion group approved 1A through D.
I have one question follow up on that.
Go ahead.
Mr. Long, can you explain to us what an exempt employee is and how many we have in the county?
The exempt employees would have to be one of
Just
the
so
exemptions.
we're good here, I'll second your motion, just so we're in order. Go ahead.
They would have to be a professional, administrative, a highly compensated computer. They have to meet one of the actual exemptions in the Fair Labor Standards Act. We have several that could potentially fit that, but the way our current personnel policy is written, other than department heads, the vast majority of your employees are treated as non-exempt employees. We have some professionals, such as the county engineer, the assistant county attorney, that are treated as professionals besides the department head, but by and large, they are not. And before we start changing the classifications, we'd probably want to look at this very closely.
All right, we have a motion on the floor, group and approve, just to make sure I understand, C1, A through D, is that correct? Correct. And I seconded it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Item C2 is the non-salary transfers, and I did not see anything that was out of the ordinary.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Item 3 was a email from Mr. Klein requesting that updated, and departments that didn't send them last year send an org chart with their budget request. If the committee so wishes and motions, and we'll send out an email tomorrow.
Let's take care,
That was item 3 on the report. I was just discussing the report.
that's fine. I mean,
It's a report issue, so.
I'll go ahead and make a motion. I don't tend to make motions in my own committee, but I'll make a motion to send the request for an org chart as part of the standard packet that we get. Most of the folks did that last year, a couple didn't, so just to do that.
They already had them anyway.
Motion and a second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I think you wanted them updated was the issue.
So any others, Mr. Long?
That is it.
Moving into old business, I'm going to hand this right back to you. I just want to maybe structure this unless you think we should do it differently. So I think there are 2 parts to this discussion. The first is a review of the TCA. I think that you have this broken out. I think what we want to do is review the TCA so that we understand clearly what our responsibilities are and what school responsibilities are. Then, once we do that, if the discussion's not over, remember if we recall from last budget meeting, what we want to do is actually send that guidance from this committee in a structured way. So let's do 1 and then 1A, then 1B, and then let's continue the discussion with what we're actually going to send over. So I'll make a motion for discussion for all 3 of those things.
One clarification, there is a sheet passed out with revenue work. That's it.
Yeah, you guys, hold on. This one right here. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What's the,
Well,
I'll go through what it means.
We've been discussing all this.
We have motion and
Aye.
second.
Can we go ahead and read it?
Well, we really didn't have to make a decision on one of these.
I know.
Okay. The first one is the TCA Annex 49-2-101, and it's county legislative body's powers and duties. Item D, which is highlighted, and I'm going to read it verbatim, make revenue estimates and determine the level of revenue necessary to establish a budget for the operations of the school department that is least equal to the minimum budget required to comply with the local match and the maintenance effort provision of Tennessee, and it goes under that statute. And I've actually got those, I've got last year's matching, and your MOE is the same as last year's, your sheet will show it. Item 2, if you look on page noted here, page number 30, they're inside.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
No, it's this one sheet here, we try to get the latest revenue numbers on those, we give them that later. On page 30, if you look at the part of 49.2.203's and its duties and powers, on page number 30, and I will read it, it's highlighted. I'm gonna read the pertinent section, not all, because I'm highlighted a little too far. About 2/3 of the way down, it's the second sentence, and it's the duties. It says, the director of schools and the chairman of the board of the local board of education shall prepare a budget according to the revenue estimates and revenue determinations made by the county legislative body under 49.2.101.1D, which is the one I just read you. So what we're understanding is the county commission has a duty to prepare the revenues. The chairman of the board of education and the school board, and the director of schools has a duty to prepare a budget that complies with it.
Okay, so let's make let's enforce, can you review these budgetary estimates and then give us an estimate of, just state for the record what maintenance of effort would be, and then what what the matching would be on a per penny basis.
Okay, when we go onto this first sheet, it looks like this. And it's one of these, it has a column on the far left that says, budget MOE, local taxes. If you look at the bottom, there's like a subtotal with 2 lines, which is a little different.
Okay.
If you look down from going from the right to the left, the second column, it says budgeted / MOE. Your budgeted is your MOE is your budgeted product amount. So your MOE is local revenues of $134,062,553.
That's local MOE as of this current fiscal year.
Yes, sir. And then attached to that, there's actually the letter from the State Department of Education from last year, because this year's not available. If you go toward the back of that, the very last page, and I think I highlighted on the copy of the memorandum, it should be the last page of the packet. And you come, there's like a number by itself, and then there's 2 numbers, and the third one up, and I think I got it highlighted, it's highlighted in yellow. It says local, your local match is $68,355,871.84. So you're quite a bit above
Yeah,
the match.
no, I understand that. Can you maybe help do this? So if you look at the folks on the right 2 columns, we just went down the budget MOE. Can you explain what the difference is?
So now what I'm looking at, this is the first one, and it's really up to the committee. I try to give you information to understand. If you leave, the tax rate is exactly where it's at.
That's when I said on a per penny basis.
And the second half of the sales tax should go to the school in the same way as property tax is what statute is. And then the wheel tax is determined by referendum, so it can't be changed. And the delinquent taxes are all determined by prior year's rate, which you can't affect at this point. So really the only effect you can do is with the current year rate. If you leave it exactly as is, it would bring in a conservative estimate is $6,194,239.
So I'm going to make a statement here. I'm going to get in my own key, then I'm going to make a motion. So I'm trying to make this as, I know this can be difficult to follow, but this was a source of confusion last year. We basically tried to do the exact same thing, and this is forward-looking. So what we're doing is we're saying, hey, we think that we can do 6.5. If we keep on a per penny basis everything the same, we can do $6.2 million more than the current MOE. Current MOE, leaving all pennies the same, given growth estimates. That's what we provided. That's what we provided last year. It was around $7 million, so that was the difference. However, I think this was in good faith. Basically, the schools interpreted that as being able to look. They thought that this 6.5 was rearward looking, and that they were able to do this on top of it. So they more or less doubled it. So what we're trying to do this year is make it crystal clear. Here's what we think on a you wanna look at it at dollar basis, or percentage-wise basis, I don't really care. I would like to make a motion. Well, one more thing before I make this motion, just because I'm trying to be very clear about this. Last year, we did make some changes to the by-penny allocation, if you guys recall. Because the by-penny allocation last year, I do not think we had, provided 100% of the wheel tax, is that correct? There was one tax, there was one tax that we reduced. Sales tax.
Sales tax, you have historically done a 66-33 division.
And so we bumped that up, but then we reduced the property tax.
You moved all of the second half of the sales tax.
Which we're supposed to do by law.
Right, over there from one way or the other. So since you're not clear on debt service, it's better to.
So my point here is that I don't think last year we needed to make some penny allocation changes because I don't think we were in compliance with law. This year, I don't think we need to do that. I think the penny allocation should stay exactly the way they are. So I'm going to motion to pass this forward with a recommendation, with this exact sheet forward, with a recommendation to the school board.
Just for schools, because one thing we gotta remember is last year we moved almost all the debt service revenue over into capital, so you'll need to reallocate it. This is a current allocation.
This is just current allocation.
For schools.
For schools.
So we'll hide all the.
Correct. I all the other stuff. I was just talking about that. I basically want to give guidance that they've got $6,194,239 extra dollars from local revenue. That's the recommendation this year. That's the motion I'd like to make.
So 140 million-ish total is what they're.
140 million
140, 256, 790.
would be the new maintenance effort. That's my motion. We have a motion and a second. Mr. Becker, or did you second it?
I did.
Motion and a second. You're in queue, then you're in queue. Go ahead, Mr. Becker, and I'll get you.
Is this, on this last page, highlighted in yellow, is that 68 million anywhere on this first page?
It compares to the two, it's not like 134 pages. So you're quite a bit above.
So this is all we have to give.
To meet the
To
local,
this,
but.
this is what we.
To meet the
this is-
local MOE?
No, to meet the local last year. MOE was last year, but
But we have, you got to meet this anyway.
if you recall, when you had county technical assistance here last time, they showed us this number, but they were really clear. Most counties in Middle Tennessee and across the state give significantly more than
Sure.
matching because the school systems can't run on.
But I understand.
But it's a minimum requirement number.
So what's this 126,592 in the back here? Is it on the same page?
Which one are you looking at?
The very bottom.
The very bottom number, is total maintenance effort, 126,592.
Well, we're talking about
Is that last year?
these.
Color maintenance, that's it.
And on the other page, it says, what, 134?
134 is what we're at.
134 is where you're at.
Yeah, I'm just curious what this 126
Is
is.
it local here? I'll ask them tomorrow. Looking up that out for you.
Because this says the local MOE is 126.
But we're
We're at 134.
Right, that's what I'm we're at 134. They could have been the year before's MOE.
No, because it was.
That probably
It was close to that.
Yeah, maybe it was.
Without looking, I think that.
Yeah, that's.
Because your MOE would be last year's budget, I think that's what it is.
I bet that's what it is.
Verify that, it looks like it, that's what it should be. You should say what year did it say on there?
This is fiscal year 24, is that?
The year before.
Yeah, that's
So that's your,
That's what it
okay, okay.
Which, it's now went up because.
Okay, so 134 is MOE, and the motion that we're about to vote on is to give them 6.194,239
That's
budget.
guidance.
Let me be clear, those are, by my feeling, very conservative, and if you want to discuss how sales tax and will tax.
This is initial guidance based on,
Good guidance.
Mr. Klein? go
Yeah,
ahead.
a couple of questions here, Mr. Chairman. Did some of the numbers change? I remember year before last, it was 126 million was the MOE. And maybe I'm just rounding off. And then last year, it was 133.5. We increased it by 7.5 million. It's right here. Okay, so now, because of this 6.2 million difference, we have to increase.
We don't have to, that was the motion, we basically, we don't have, just to be clear, this 134,062,553, that's what we're on the hook for, in perpetuity. So, you could make a motion to just keep it at maintenance of effort, and that would be perfectly, that's the thing you could do. I'm making a motion to say, hey, look, we've got a conservative upward trend. We do know that the schools are still trying to build on a trajectory to try to get their salaries, their teacher salaries up to the state kind of target. So, I think that this is a reasonable number that we can do. I mean, I'm happy to argue anywhere between these two.
Well, I would like to argue that we've got a school district that's only increased by 1,500 students since 2014. And their maintenance of effort has increased dramatically since 2014. I think we should take the safe road, and I don't know if it's an amendment to your motion, that for the time being, until we get into the budget cycle, we stay with maintenance of effort and no more.
All right, is that a motion? And I will explain why I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So the reason I don't want to do that is that I don't want to get into what we did last year, where
Point of order.
yeah.
Is there a second to his amendment?
He didn't make an amendment,
Okay.
but I'm answering it. I mean, he directed it to the chair. I'm gonna respond. The reason I would be against that, if you were to make that amendment, is that in lieu of guidance, the schools can request whatever they want. And it is, per Mr. Lawing, it is our duty to provide that guidance. So if you want to provide guidance that says, hey, keep it in maintenance of effort, that's a fine motion, but I may or may not be for that, but we need to give them something. And the earlier we give them something, the better it is. So we need to give them something.
Can you explain why? The earlier we give them something.
I mean, if you're going to make a budget,
Most of them
It's a calendar that we.
if you're
What revenue to use.
if you're trying to understand what revenues you have in order to make a budget, you want that estimate from your funding body
Early as possible.
as early as you can. So I'm just trying to be a good partner.
But isn't their budget based on their need, not based on our increase?
No, that's actually exactly the opposite of what Mr. Long just said. It is our duty to provide them with the revenues and to say, you must, here's what you can expect to get, and then they can operate within that. Do you have anything else?
I would like to make an amendment that
Okay.
for the time being, we stay with maintenance of effort.
Is there a second? Motion fails for a second. Mr. Becker?
No, it was on the amendment.
I believe this will just take a simple majority vote because it's not an appropriation.
Yeah, it's not funding. This is an estimate. All right? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
One no. All right. I think we can move on.
Good, so they're coming back, we're telling them, you got
You've got-
$140 million.
You got $140 million.
Don't come back with any more than that.
Correct.
Got it.
That's what we're saying.
That's what I thought. With it.
Okay, I've got a comment on this City of Gallatin, and Ms. Blunt, you and I discussed this a little bit. So we had taken a vote last time to send me and Mr. Lawing and the mayor to the City of Gallatin. Mr. Lawing and I discussed this, and we're trying to find a time to do it. And Mr. Lawing, please don't let me speak for you, but my understanding of that conversation was that we have some pending actions, and we did not want to go to that meeting until those pending actions were complete.
2 actions going on right now.
And so if you could bring us up to speed on what those actions are, happy to continue to do this, or we can hold off. I would just like to get an idea of what these are. First, motion for discussion.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
We have,
I know I'm doing I'm not doing a good job today.
okay, we have 2 items. We have 2 items, one's $400,000 and one's $300,000. The $300,000 is for the Franklin Street stormwater, which is the one that's being discussed the most. We have spent, I think, $10,000 so far on the engineer. Make sure I'm telling you correctly. We've actually got a contract out. It's $10,000. We are bidding it until February 13th. We're going to open it shortly, work with the engineer. If it's within budget, we're going to award the contract. If not, it will be back into your queue in March.
So just cut the chase. Let's just wait till the 13th.
Right. The other one is the $400,000 project. We have an MOU with the utility district. The utility district's already sent us bills for $64,000 some odd dollars, so that's moving along pretty quickly too. If we sit and hold tight, these two objections are going to disappear in their own time without further action.
That's our hope. I have been in contact with Ms. Brown on this. As soon as we get bids and we approve, we have a signatory on bid, then we're gonna get our money. Now, so let's just, I think we should just wait till the 13th unless there's any, with any objection. All right, let's go ahead and continue. I don't know that we need any action here. Payroll holdback, I'll hand that to you, Mr. Long.
The payroll holdback is still financial management, and then also, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, but item D was the one the committee was gonna wait till May for the library to see if they could find additional funds.
So I don't know that we need to do anything on it, because it's
Neither
on
one.
C or D. All right, okay, election office budget issue. This one, I'll entertain a motion to discuss.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Long, go ahead, get some update.
I think the last request I got from the committee was to ask Ms. Ashley to come discuss her budget, and that's what I've done, and also to give us summary of adjustments, and I've
I
got
think
that
we
here.
have, folks here, so I would, entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, would anybody from the election commission like to present? All right.
We're actually administrative elections. Just wanted to, there was a comment made in citizens, I don't really have an opening statement, there was a comment made in citizens comments regarding, data processing. Just want to clarify for anyone that is in the room that might be watching this meeting, that has absolutely nothing to do with our voting machines being connected to the internet. That is an absolute incorrect fact. But other than that, Mr. Long did,
What is the fact, then? I'm sorry. Just
There,
so
it is not. Our voting machines are never connected to
Correct.
the
What's
internet.
the line item for?
I think it's part of the program.
That was just made in citizens' comment.
No, I know that.
What's the actual?
What data and what is that?
He wants to know what's in the line.
And you can ask Mr. Long.
I believe, but I can check tomorrow, I believe it's where they program the cards and stuff, but I would have to check.
It has
It's probably the majority of it.
DP services have everything from Comcast, AT&T, everything.
And I think it's the person programming too.
Yes.
But I think that's a big portion of it. but-
It is.
Maintenance.
I just wanted to make that clarification. But I'll have to be here, so I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
So, well, anybody have any questions? Mr. Long?
And I did bring, because there was questions about the line, so I did provide a summary of how we got, and where we're at right now, because there's several line items over.
I'll leave, well, did you have anything you wanted to know? Because I've had just one or two simple questions.
For Ms. Ashley.
Yes, for Ms. Ashley. So, I think the thrust of this is that there are additional requests being made, and we just didn't understand exactly what the requests were for, given that we're past an election cycle. So I guess my first question is, are there any services right now that are in danger of being cut off? Do we have any personnel who are not able to pay, or who are in arrears on being paid?
Well, the last situation we had, and Mr. Long told me how to handle it, we moved money within our line items to pay Westmoreland,
Okay.
which is a small business in Sumner County. It was a legal notice that's required statutorily. Everything we do is by Title II, Genesee Code annotated. We had to move items, but eventually, before we get to the end of this fiscal year, it's going to cause shortages in other line items. So you guys passed for the commission, so there were going to be no more appropriations unless an emergency. An emergency wasn't defined, but we have to pay our bills that are statutorily required under Title II. So that person must pay.
Okay, yes, so that was actually leads me to my next question, which
Yes, sir.
is, assuming, understanding that the ability to move between line items, do you have sufficient funds to cover all of your expected expenses?
No, sir. This committee, based on, and Mr. Long is sitting right here, you cut our budget $500.
Well, I gotta correct this, we did not cut any budget.
I'm sorry,
we
you
did-
reduced. Well,
I've gotta be super clear.
I want to be super clear.
The budget from last year, the budget that we put together was reduced from what you requested, but it was not reduced from either the previous year or the previous like year over year.
That's an incorrect statement, sir, because we have a one election cycle every year and a two election cycle the next
So,
year.
Mr. Long,
And
can
with
you
the
provide us
presidential-
with the amount of funds that we have provided to the,
At the time, and this is what I recall, and we can go back and do the tape.
I've had it right there, Dave.
The tape of the minutes.
so,
You reduced our budget
it's a simple question.
$573,000.
How much year over year have we ever reduced?
Not year over year, but what happened, and that's why I put the sheet here, because there's been a lot of discussion. And that's what I want to go into. There's really two line items that are significantly over right now.
Well, but I want to answer that question,
What
because it's important.
what happened was we were doing the budget workshop. And at the time, you went and looked at Miss Action, and there were several increases, and several of them were noted to be due with convenient vote centers and to do with the new location. At the time, you and the other commissioners opened up in the budget document where it had the expenditures from 2 cycles ago and compared it cycle to cycle. So you didn't compare the year before with the year before.
Correct, we compared it
So
like
it
year.
was a like year to a like year.
But these were big like years, because they were
Yeah, they
presidential
were
elections.
saying, yeah, they were.
So
And you increased
maybe
it.
let me ask this. Was last year's budget the largest budget ever provided to?
I'd have to go back and look just to verify that.
I think it was. If I'm wrong, I'll admit to it. But I think last year's budget was the largest budget that we have ever provided to the election commission.
But
I think.
But the two items that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Seems like you can see the last year before that there was some question about this deadline for submission of the budget.
Yeah, that was the year
before.
before. That was the year before. That was this year.
I can't remember.
And
I believe I remember that part.
the two major items that right now is going to be difficult to cover in the budget, that's what I'm looking at, is overtime and election workers. The original request for overtime was $29,074. When you did the 2-year comparison, the budget committee put in $29,735, which is more. The line item's over by $4,561. The second request that's over was election workers. The request was $277,219. The committee, when they did a like over like, was $280,000. The current expenditures is $332,721.13, which is $52,721.13 more. So the two lines that were, the two largest overages were not from decreases.
So what were those two?
Election workers and overtime.
Election workers and overtime. So I guess the question is, and I
And we have
don't think I asked both of you guys.
My office has already paid them, so we got them covered.
So, maybe ask it this way, how much do we, and I'm trying to make this as simple as I can, like, how much do we have, does the election commission, how much does the election commission have currently in its budget, and how much is its expected?
And that's the issue you've got. They have money in their budget, but several of the items are spoken for, such as
I get it.
administrators,
I get it.
employees, continuing. So when you look at the remaining items outside of that, such as the insurance, you don't want to look at those. There's some in postal, but I don't know what they've got left the rest of the year. That'd be more of a Lori question, but by itself, the item for election workers is $52,000 some odd over. It's going to be going down these line items hard pressed
To
find the 52 and the 46. That was my, however we got here, and that's not what I'm trying to say.
No, I get it. I get it. So that part of it.
Right now, there's, them two are gonna be hard pressed to cut.
All right, got it. Dylan.
And we paid them, let's be clear, because they were due to them, so we went ahead and.
All right.
That was my biggest thing. More of this rental. That was the other one.
Okay, so our voting
Sorry.
machines,
Sorry.
no, that's fine, our voting machines were new
Sure.
in 2024, and they increased in weight significantly and size because of the state of Tennessee requirement to have VDPAS, which is a voter verified paper audit trail.
Yes.
So now it's
Love
a two-man list. Everybody loves it, but it's a two-man list. They weigh 52 plus pounds apiece.
It looked like a,
So when people were picking up the voting equipment, officers of elections, and taking them to the precincts, they can no longer do that. So now we have to rent U-Haul trucks.
gotcha.
To do that.
I'll say one thing, there may be a pragmatic answer here too. This last election, my understanding was much larger than earlier presidential elections. Is that true?
Yes.
So when Lori came in with her estimates, hers was based on kind of like yours earlier cycles. If you look, hers was 277, 219, yours was 280. Pretty close. Hers is 29, yours is slightly higher, but we're way over. So by looking at it, you know, it looks like right now because of excessive or more voter turnout caused those two overages.
So the two overages that you're talking about,
The big ones.
election workers and what was the other one?
Overtime.
Overtime. So it's basically all personnel.
And when
you add those up, it's about.
Well, even the rental.
About $90,000.
And then the same thing, you've got to think there's benefits on that, so you've got the 52 plus the 4 plus another, probably somewhere around 12%, give or take.
Mr. Becker.
I just got a question just from a procedural standpoint. The green folder you raised, what is that, statute 2?
This is, Title 2.
Title 2.
Tennessee Code annotated, this is what it takes to run an election
Okay,
in the state of Tennessee.
thank you. So what's it called again?
Title 2.
Title 2, okay.
Tennessee Code annotated.
All right, so my question is, you know, we went through the budget process and we basically, the commission came to a budget number for Ms. Ashley's department. Does Title II allow them to just blatantly disregard, that's probably a strong word, to disregard that budget number and just spend whatever they need to spend, and then it just forces us to
I mean,
pay it?
that's a good question.
Like, why
we even go through the budget?
You know,
Well, it puts me in the thing that you've got federal and state laws that pay people. Then we've got budget state laws, and then we have other ones. So when we come down where somebody's not going to get paid or insurance because we have agreements with insurance, we generally pay those.
So, but
But the point is simple. I mean, it's like if either an appointed or a constitutional officer can basically back in force an expense.
You'd have to get courts involved, put it that way, for violating budgets.
Yeah.
But right now, what I'm trying to say is just to make sure that I'm clear, for the two items that are over by far, and the rest of them are not over right now, except for that little bit that you know, just $6,000.
It was just the one that was, I mean, percentage-wise, it is actually the largest.
But if you look at that, Miss Ashley's estimates in the budget committee, if they did a 2-year look back, came into fairly close numbers with each other, but they were both significantly short. And that's why I was asking her, because I heard that other places it was a significantly larger turnout in this presidential election, which drove costs more than anybody else.
On the one hand, I definitely don't want to, you don't want election workers are out, they're wonderful people when they're working, and I don't want anybody ever worried that they're not going to get paid. But on the other hand, part of me almost wants to force that issue and make it a court issue.
I get the frustration, honestly. I understand.
I mean, because it's really.
I do.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But I also don't think that Ashley's out there just
No, I don't think that either. That's not.
willy-nilly saying.
I don't think that, but it's like, that shouldn't be there shouldn't be that ambiguity, right? Like
No, I totally understand, yeah.
There should be some kind of guidance.
Mr. Chairman, we have no specification.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, my name is Tom Lee, I'm counsel to the election commission. There is guidance to your question, it's a good question. There is guidance in Tennessee Code annotated 2-12-109A1. Here's what it says. It is the responsibility of the county to fund the operations of its election commission. It is the responsibility of the county to fund the operations of its election commission. If a county fails to pay appropriate funds sufficient to pay expenses that are reasonably necessary for the discharge of statutorily mandated duties of its election commission, such commission may petition the Chancery Court to compel the appropriation of such funds. It is clear.
Well, I mean,
Wait.
This is my position here. What I'm saying is the phrase reasonably necessary, and I love lawyers. There's always these words, reasonably necessary, and so those are words,
Sir, not lawyers.
the legislature's larger than made out of lawyers.
My point is, Mr. Chairman, if I may, my point is, if the county commission.
What's that?
You got a motion.
What's the motion?
Come back
to the session. I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're back in session. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
So I recall that a couple of years ago, we did a benchmark with Rutherford County.
Mm-hmm.
Can you refresh my memory.
It's been-
I have some memory of it, but if you
Yeah,
can refresh me.
It's been a couple of years back, but our office here was more expensive.
Yeah, I think in terms of reasonably necessary, I think we're pretty close there. But on the other hand, I don't want, go ahead.
I'm just wondering if that would be an exercise that we could complete again,
Well, we do benchmarking every year
but we
anyway.
have not.
We haven't found one because right now we're just buried under everything else.
We've said several times, Mr. Chairman, that this was a bigger turnout than the similar
Well,
Well,
recent.
let's see if there's.
Can we quantify that?
yeah, but here's the thing, we could, but it would be, we're gonna ask them to do a lot more work. Look, as you can tell, I'm about to make a motion, I'm not just talking to myself speak here. I'm kinda willing to fight this fight a little bit, but I also don't wanna see election workers worried about stuff, so Mr. Wine, it sounds like there's about $90,000 that we're worried about.
It's not quite, it's 52,721.13 election workers, 45, 61 for, overtime, so the 52,721.13, you'd have to add 7.65% to for Social Security Medicare.
Oh.
And then the other ones, you'd have to add Social Security Medicare and retirement, I believe retirement's
Let's,
11.39.
if we add that, does that change maintenance of effort?
Theirs is basically what it's required to run an election.
So,
So their election cycles
yeah,
change. I don't
that's true.
think
So
that's
here's what I wanna
really-
do, I don't want more people worried about this. I am gonna bring this up in legislative, that I'm kinda, sort of, wanting to fight a little bit. But, because I don't want people worried about getting paid, I'm gonna motion to provide the election commission with an additional $60,000, at least at this juncture, to make sure that we can cover. And we may need to change it later, but the last time we did this, we got in trouble, because we just, we basically gave guidance that said, hey, spend whatever.
Make sure you get your goal, could you do the 52,721 in election workers, the 45,61 overtime? And then just say,
9.5.
the required matching benefits, and that would.
Well, I wanna give them a hard, we can come back and do. I wanna give them a hard amount.
All calculated to know what the benefits.
What's $100,000?
No, it's nowhere near that, it's, as I was saying, you're,
The 52 plus the 45.
52 would be 7.65 plus the 4,500. It's 45,
4,500.
4,500. Then the 4,500 has the 7.65 plus 11.39.
It's 57.
65.
So if you wanted to move it forward, you could just say those two amounts plus required benefits.
Then
and we would
that's
defer
fine.
it.
We can do it that way. You can give
But
us,
it would zero out
be around
the-
$65,000.
We would zero.
That's my motion. I have a motion to do that. We have a motion and a second, Mr. Becker.
So what's the,
Yeah, I'll do that.
what's the benefit of doing this now versus letting them transfer line items?
Per your private act, your resolution and statutes are not supposed to exceed the budget.
Yeah, we don't, and
So
that's
right
what
now,
happened
The line item budgets?
But your resolution says line item budget. And audit actually looked at payroll line items. So, they look at it quite.
And so last year, we got in trouble with this because we gave guidance to say, hey, come back and we'll pay as we go. Well, we gave you guidance and like,
And that's another
go and
reason.
spend what you wanted, so we don't wanna do that. I wanna give them a hard number.
So is your motion reducing it from other line items, or just giving them
No.
from where?
No, because
I think that'd be
his statement was that they won't, he doesn't think they're gonna be able to meet it.
It's gonna be very hard on
Where's
us.
the money coming from?
So we're gonna get, we've got,
And it's not some balance.
yeah. Ms. Boyd, we got it. Go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
So we're not even, I understand that Mr. Long says we're hard pressed, but, I see other departments here. This is not somewhere, this is a slippery slope, because we have other departments with MOEs that can do the same thing, just put more people on the floor every day. This is a really.
That's why I want
This is
to
a
fight.
slope I'm not willing to slide down right yet. I would like to, why can't we move something out of a line item and then reconsider it later? We can move some money out of postal charges while we revisit a, benchmark next month. We could move some of that postal money out. And then I'd like to see a benchmark against some of these other counties, because they have the same
We
election.
win that all day long.
I-
I've seen our benchmarks.
I'd like to take a closer look at it, because this is a slippery slope. We've got a lot of departments.
Do you have a motion?
I'm gonna vote against your motion.
No, that's fine.
I'm just explaining where I would like to go with my motion after
That's
that.
fine.
Majority in a way.
Ms. Becker.
Do we know, Mr. Long, are these the 52,721, 40, and the 4,561? Is that that's for time already worked?
Yes, sir. And there's
And
probably.
there shouldn't be any more, because we're done with elections.
They probably built some comp time, and Lori's paid somebody, but I don't know if she's paid all of her compensatory time. I think that'd be a question for her.
767 hours are still on the bill.
And just like I don't know, that's why it's probably a good idea, and I don't wanna be true, but on the 36th, we might wanna ask what's left to mail this year, like any cards or anything, I'm not sure. It would be a question for me. But the one we're talking about, transportation, I'm asking
What is that 776 still?
what now?
What does that mean?
That means that with an agreement with an employee, and it's only government, it's gonna have a limited amount of compensatory time in lieu of overtime with an employee, and they can take it off, and you've got a reason to let them take it off, it earns a time and a half break. Other than governments, no one else is allowed to do it, and it's, my opinion, it's not necessarily the best thing
You have to
anyway.
have the labor max of 240.
And that 240 period, that's it, you got any close to 240.
After presidential, well, like.
So I'd like to ask,
Go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
That's a regular one.
It's a non-election.
That's your.
I can amend on your motion.
You can amend it.
I'd like to amend and make the motion that we move the money out of the other lines, knowing that we may have to bring more money in next month, and look at a benchmark and see what the other counties are experiencing in this election cycle, because I'm not sure that we don't have efficiency problems here. And earlier I asked Mr. Line about the non-exempt and how that flows. We have highly compensated people in this department that get comp time.
These wouldn't qualify under.
Do they get comp?
No, the only one that would qualify, yes, they get comp, the ones that are, non-exempt employees. There's only two that are
Who's
treated
non-exempt?
exempt. Everybody except for Miss Ashley and her assistant. And
So
they
the two
do
of them
qualify.
do not get comp.
Right, everybody else, because they are not management, they would not qualify for an exemption.
So those two do not
But
get comp.
those two don't, but the rest of them would qualify for overtime. We'd be hard pressed to say that they don't qualify for overtime on those.
I'm just
I feel-
asking that in my amendment that we take a moment, move it out of the other line items so we don't, go over, and then do a benchmark and come back at this next month.
Second.
We have a motion.
separate motion, that's
It's
not
got
an
a separate-
amendment.
Mhm.
Okay, well, then that's fine. We'll, here, just to be.
You gotta withdraw.
We'll take mine and
The
then.
only issue with benchmarking,
I
we have
mean-
all hands on deck doing the
Can you
budget. right
withdraw
now.
yours and let mine go?
It's in there.
I mean, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and let your amendment stand. And, yeah, I'll just
Why
let your
don't you just
amendment.
make it clean and withdraw yours and I'll make a motion and.
No, well, I mean, I think it's actually cleaner to do yours than do mine.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it's fine. I mean, I know that I'm going against council here, but I think we can let that stay.
Just to be clear, we're talking about $100,000 and we still have 300,
65,000.
but we've got 346.
But if you look, David, like up under just the deputies alone, there's 133, 44, under the administrator of almost 45, and then insurance has 20, and 29, state retirement has 20.
So it's all.
There's a lot of them in salaries.
A lot of it's already encumbered.
It's for employees that are already working.
It's already encumbered.
Do we have 60,000 per month?
As I'm saying, it's already over, it's already paid. I would like to see it cleared up, but it's really up to your discretion.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, here's the thing, we either do it or let it slide, and then, battle it out in court, but if we let it slide,
Do you really want to be the county that goes to court over?
Do we want to be the county that's like not paying somebody? That's the question. Like, I don't want that to happen.
It seems like we have the money in the budget for 1 month to look this over.
I mean, you got a motion on the floor. Anybody, any other discussion on it?
Can you repeat your motion just to?
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we take the excess that are remaining in other line items and transfer them around to make audit happy. And then come back with a benchmark to see where we're at. We're ultimately going to be paying this, but I'd like to look at the efficiencies between us and other large counties.
Well, let me be clear, audit's problem is they're saying that we're not complying with budget statutes by doing this.
Yeah.
And if it was and Lori knows if it was
Look,
a
she
non-salary item,
can make the motion, but.
the non-salary items we held up and transferred, but the salary ones, I've never done that because of the issue.
I can send you all the statutes.
I have my own book.
So, if I understood right, it sounds like the amendment is to use that whatever it was, $65,000 or whatever it ends up being. And it'd be at Ms. Ashley's discretion of where she pulls, which line items to pull.
Well, I mean, the way I'm understanding this is that my motion was to provide roughly $65,000. The amendment is basically no money. We're just let it ride for a month at the end of the day.
Correct.
And that means that by default, the election commission would have to move things around. I mean, am I accurately stating it? So that's the choice that we have here.
But that would only be if Mr. Long's office could give us a breakdown of the benchmark.
Well,
We'll
she
try
has to be doing that while he's building that.
Right now, with the issue we got all hands on deck doing the budget, so we'll try to do it, but it's gonna.
Yeah, I think,
And we moved the budget way back to meet the June timeline this year.
so, I mean,
We can give it a try.
well, so
We'll try to
here's the thing. We got a motion on the floor. Any other discussion on it? We have the amendment, voting now on the amendment. Would you please restate the amendment?
So it's gonna be amended.
Yeah, your amendment is on. Would you please restate it?
Yeah. So I would like to go forward with where we're at now and encourage the department to move the money around like they need to. Give us a chance to analyze for efficiencies compared to other counties and see just why we're so much over. And then readdress this next month. And acknowledging that everyone has been paid.
Okay. Any discussion, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
So all the ayes can raise their hands? Oh, okay. The amendment carries. So motion as amended, is to let this go one more month. All in favor? All opposed? No.
We'll try to bring you a benchmark.
Okay, bring some benchmark.
Stay with us.
Shannon, did you say no?
All right.
They said no.
Yeah, we said no.
I voted yes. They said no.
All right, we're in order. Thank you. Exactly. All right. So, okay.
Can we do one thing though? When we do the benchmarks, can we go ahead and send them to election first?
Yes,
See if
that's
they've got
fine.
a point of action of why their numbers are.
All right.
Did everybody hear that?
Is everybody okay with that, including Lori?
I'm sorry.
Before I send it to committee, if it's okay, as soon as we do the benchmarks, I would like to send it to the Administrator of Elections only first to let her address if it is more wide.
That's fine.
Give her a fair shot.
We don't,
It's just convenient.
we got it.
County, that's all I was just trying to.
Want to share with
Thank
you
you.
first and let you know.
Okay.
All right, let's continue. Planning $10,000 general fund for debris removal. We've had this on here several times. I'm the motion to approve.
This is your second reading on
Oh,
the
yeah.
simple majority.
Second reading on this one, motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Oh, there's some ayes.
Who's no? Boyd,
George,
Becker, Lambert.
and Lambert. Okay.
Did I receive two positives?
Yeah, that was just, me and Mr. Klein. Yep, 10,000.
Unbelievable.
All right. Well, maybe that's Doji. All right, Health Department,
We've got the amount back from Hal. It was for the grant that was last month, and I think your estimate, here's the estimate. Reading through here, I anticipate the account balance will remain below 2,000. They said the initial check is for 1724. It's on page 77. You may want to get clarification. It's been the rules to get clarification in on this status. He's back there. I'm not sure if he's asking for 37 or 2. Is this on G? Hold on, it's G. It's on page 77. I'm gonna try to skip it. It's a child safety code.
This is just pass through.
Yeah, it's passed through, but you didn't know the amount last month, and
that's
not 100% clear
right.
what he's
Do we,
asking for.
motion to extend the rules just to get an idea. Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
How much is this amount for? What's the total amount?
Right here.
It's gonna be roughly about 1,500 to 2,000
Okay.
every quarter. And they're gonna ensure that we have an inventory to give out.
And this is all passed through, right?
all pass through, I continue all pass
So
through.
if it's a quarter, then the rest of the year would be less than six. The rest of the year would be less. How much is put that for? We're less than four.
Yeah, well, we're January, we're March, they let you do up for $1,500 in 3 months.
So you're talking 3,000.
Yeah, $3,000.
It's all passed through.
I
All
just
right,
have
go ahead.
just for general knowledge, how many car seats do you do?
We just started, so, what was happening was, in our CHAMP program, the moms were leaving the hospital, and a lot of them got these kind of car seats. So, surprise, surprise, we can't leave, so we're getting the hard lot to around, calling the sheriff's department, technician, help to install it. And my folks were sitting there killing 3 hours waiting, trying to get a technician in for efficiency. I said, we got to learn how to do this ourselves. And 4 of my camp people went and got a 40-hour class to learn how to install safety seats. And then the Department of Safety said, do you want a grant? And I said, well, I mean, you've got it. We, the only other county in the state that's got it. I said, let's get this money, because my people are standing there, they waiting to install a safety seat, now we're on the car safety seat, so it's still killing time.
So just to be clear, these are only people at the hospital, because I know that we also serve people from other counties. And I mean, it's a pass.
It'd be our
I don't want,
chance people who make the community outreach navigation teams and we're preparing them to become parents.
yeah.
That's one of the things we'll check out. If y'all got the car safety seat, if you qualify for that.
And you're not gonna grow.
Motion to bring it back into order.
All right, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
We're just trying to be dozy over here.
That's second, correct?
Yeah. So we have a motion. Is there a motion?
Yes.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously.
And that's the way also.
Yeah, that was right. All right, Board of Education,
Motion to agree for.
motion was approved.
Yes,
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Your motion carries. Appropriate to Sheriff's Department, Drug Task Force funds,
Flow through, it comes from the feds, it sees money. You guys have to budget because they want internal controls.
motion, waive their second reading, second good with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this grant is also all passed through, I believe, correct?
Yes, it's for
A
bonuses.
motion is waived,
Hold on, it's for what?
It's for, I think it's for training and bonuses, is that correct?
is it,
No, okay.
all right, anything? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Inmate medical.
And this is passed.
Flow through.
Flow through, all right,
Motion
motion,
waived.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Next is a transfer.
Okay, that's just, so
No
no,
major categories for health insurance changes.
okay, motion, motion and waive a second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Item D1, if you want me to explain it, there's,
Yeah, go ahead.
they made a request for 2 capital items back in the budget. The sheriff decided it'd be more advantageous to fix his, training center, I believe. It's not actually fixed, it's actually a modification or upgrade, small one. But, he wanted for transparency, and we wanted to make sure the budget committee was aware and they were okay with it. It's already appropriated funds.
Okay.
Is that D1?
You just need to basically say it's okay.
All right, motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Opioid Abatement Committee, so I did, add, I'm gonna go ahead and start with this one. I added one more person to this. Did you guys on the opioid committee get that email from me? Okay, Mr. Matt Campbell was on there. Are there any other, is it filled now, or do we have any?
Well, there's another issue. I don't know if you're
Well,
gonna.
we'll get to it. Let me make sure, is the committee filled now?
No.
Are you able to get
No.
quorum?
We can get quorum barely.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Wait, one citizen, one commissioner.
Are we a commissioner short?
We're Commissioner Short
Daryl.
and a citizen.
Yeah,
Daryl?
we had 2 citizens to start with.
Daryl?
Well, no, was it assistant or the judge?
No, because we had
Just
the
don't
lady,
vote.
the healthcare.
No, he doesn't vote.
We had the healthcare lady that came, and then she dropped
You're right.
out. And then we had the
Will.
citizen, Will.
So we
that
need
dropped
one
out.
more citizen in.
Correct. One more citizen.
And one, all right, I got it.
And the other thing was judicial, Judge Platten stepped away. We wanted a judicial member at the table, but he felt that it was conflict, so we lost that seat.
It's not voting.
That's non-voting.
That's non-voting.
Oh, it's
I'll take, I got it. you need one more, I thought you just
The
needed one.
citizens don't vote either, so you're only
Well,
looking.
It's mainly the commissioner that.
All right, then I will appoint, Mr. So, there we go.
Did you know?
Yeah, I just called him, I do it.
So we got that.
I like reading those applications.
You don't have to vote on that?
So,
Well, actually,
Yeah, they voted to send it back.
Motion.
Restart the meeting.
Yeah.
It's a subcommittee.
Yeah, but
It
it's
should be
not
chairman's
21.
discretion.
the opiate. So the other issue with the opiate is this is a committee that we anticipate for 18 years, and we have it set up as a subcommittee. So what we're discussing is this should be a standing committee. This is an item that needs to be taken, not from here, but, I mean, kind of, it doesn't need to be under the budget, it needs to, we're discussing it should be a standing committee, and we need to have more time than 1 year. We don't, basically, the whole committee dissolves really quickly.
I mean, it's a good point,
We're gonna dissolve really quickly because 1 year.
That's actually item B on here to discuss. Item A, so, I mean, right now you're about to miss item A if we're not careful.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. So what's the need with the supplies?
Item A, there's a clarification of the county commission policy, talks about supplies and infrastructure. We're asking to send it to county commission basically to clarify that if a nonprofit or a county has extra funds, they can use it for the treatment.
Who's day?
The committee can approve for them
Oh,
to
okay.
use it for the naloxone.
Yeah, naloxone.
And the AED.
Yeah.
But it needs to go under the commission because they approved the
Okay,
policy.
motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, now let's get on to B. So, my understanding here, because we almost skipped A, is that, do you have a motion to dissolve this as a subcommittee and to move it as a standing committee? Is that a motion?
We have discussed it at the opiate committee. We will dissolve. I'm not quite sure if we're up for it next month. By our standing rules, we can only be a standing committee for 12 months.
Sure.
You're gonna need to reappoint the whole subcommittee every year. And there's a whole amount of work and knowledge that we've done and is Dylan can speak to that is not beneficial to anyone for that to happen. This needs to be a committee that just flows, not a subcommittee.
Somehow it needs to, and I don't know how we do it, Eric definitely speaking to the city, he's been talking to us, but it needs to have some new blood along with some old knowledge continually on there, and the problem is you're gonna have, I mean, even the commissioners, I mean, there's a chance we could all not be on there, and there is that, you can move to a citizen seat, but then how does that look?
So what it sounds like is that there needs to be some rules.
Yes.
Or like can that committee come up with suggested rules for like how it should be governed and then bring it? I don't think that.
It still have to come from you.
That's fine. I mean, if I want, I can just draft some rules.
If I can interject on that.
Go ahead.
Money is gonna be coming in on this opioid thing for
2 decades.
5 to 10 years at a minimum.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a recurring problem unless it becomes some sort of freestanding committee that's answering to the commission as a whole.
At the last meeting, we asked Dustin, our grant accountant, to go away and prepare what you're talking about. And
To go away.
well, to come back to our next meeting with some outlines of what other counties are doing and also to ask state reps what they would recommend for us. One other piece I'd like to throw out there is the citizens are not happy with the amount of work that they do and they get no vote. And I'm just saying, it might be hard to keep, if you want their voice on there.
Can we do that by law? Can we do that?
I'll have to research that. I don't see how because they're not gonna get any of the protection.
But if we do it as, if you did it like an appointment, through committee on committees like you normally do, there'd be kind of like the library board, which is a very different thing. I mean,
Financial management has citizens.
and they make votes, and they have.
They vote on.
They're
They're all
voting
the
on
videos.
the private actors ready to allow that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they're formed up.
So in
under
order for those, I'll get you, so in order for,
Mm-hmm.
in order for us to be able to do that, we would need to make it a standing committee. Okay, Mr. Becker?
I'm trying to figure out the difference, there's the nonprofit allocation, that you appoint every, 12 months.
It's kind of the same thing.
And they vote, I mean, the citizens on that vote there, but then but then it goes through
But then it goes to budget, 'cause that's just
and
a
full
recommendation.
The county commission.
Yeah. So are we saying this opioid money would never go to the?
Well, I guess that's true, because if it goes through budget, then they should be able to vote.
Yeah.
That's a good point. What's the difference then?
But my thing is, it's a subcommittee, it's voted on again by this committee and. the
Yeah,
county
so it
commission.
should be
So
fine.
the citizens can
They
vote.
should be able to,
They
so,
vote last year.
how about,
I've got another suggestion.
They're recommending.
Go ahead,
what
Ms.
they
Boyd.
are.
So,
Yeah.
with Commissioner Becker mentioning the nonprofit, just to simplify things, could we blend those two boards, because they basically are doing the
Oh,
same thing,
man.
and one is giving away.
that's very, no, that's very,
Already
No.
no, those are very different things.
No.
Yeah, those are very different things, because one is purely from the county, this is passed through, and this is for
There's a lot
the
of-
one has a lot more rules. These are
Oh,
really
yeah.
very,
I'm familiar with it.
We're gonna.
so I don't think we blend them. I mean, you can make that motion, I'll be against it, but,
No, I'm just throwing it out there, discussion line.
I see your way of thinking though, like,
Let-
because there is a lot of
So-
overlap,
so
like CASA
current-
or some of these.
currently,
It really.
you guys are working on like a set of recommendations.
Yes.
Can we just
Well-
punt this for a month and let me get those back and look at them, and then
I'm
maybe
not
we
sure
can-
that we might dissolve with the standing rules. It's 12 months.
Well, so I
Already been more
can,
than 12
He
months.
he just appoints.
I'll just reappoint the same group.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I can just follow up that exact same email, and if it's the same people on it, I'll add Ms. Bergdorf, then appoint for 12 more years, that way we're, or 12 more months? That way we're
I'm trying to be
47.
Committee approves subcommittees or the commission?
So that's what I'll do to keep us, that's what I'll do to keep us good for 12 months. But I get your point. So other than that, let's just punt this.
Yeah.
That's parliamentary vicar over
So
here.
what they
Yeah.
need
That's
to
the best way to do it.
do.
All right, I got it.
I mean, yeah, that is.
All right, we're going wild here, we're going.
Why don't you just appoint them next month under the committee and not worry about it? You can,
He-
you
he
appoint them.
just
for a
appointed
month,
him.
yeah,
Well, that's what I'm gonna do,
for a whole year.
Yeah, just go ahead and.
for a year, and then,
And
but I do
we'll
want
work it
to,
out.
we'll work it out.
Work it out.
And make.
All right.
Okay.
Yes, which I can do,
Yeah.
which I can do.
Can we go to item 3?
Yeah, go ahead, let's do it.
Item 3, there's 2 memorandums, one with Portland Senior Citizens and one with the City of Portland. What this is, there's a broadband grant. It ends October 31st, 2023 with this, 26. With this agreement, it says that these 2 entities are responsible for the cost after the grant disappears and not the county.
Yes.
So we don't have it, we're gonna end up absorbing.
All right,
Which two?
It is the Portland Senior Citizens and the City of Portland.
so it's basically saying, hey, once this grant goes away, we don't.
Because it benefits them, they have to cover their
So
costs.
approve and approve A and B.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Item 4 is for informational only. Anytime there's an emergency purchase, you have to report certain items. The
All right,
mayor had an emergency purchase, which was legit to replace the water heater in the jail. There's 2 POs, and I'm just asking to have it docketed with the commission.
Motion agreed for approved.
well, we don't need to.
We just need to
Oh, we don't?
approve the document with the commission.
Do we need a motion to dock it?
Document with the county commission.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Approve item 5.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Item 6, we were reading the resolution, and the attachment was different. The attachment's are correct, the resolution had a different number. We're just asking to have it correct and sent back to the
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, school-related nonprofit debt. Motion to discuss.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'm gonna get my own cue here. Didn't the school board just vote to send forward, what, how much was it in your call?
1.1.
Yeah.
Was it one? I thought it was 1.1.
It was 1.1.
You only have like $1,024,000 in hospitals.
So,
Did you hear
How
that?
much?
A
It's
million
around
twenty-four
$1,024,000, maybe a little more.
in hospital funds.
That's your total.
how much is in the hospital?
It's about $1,024,000. There's some interest I can get the.
Okay, and so that's in addition to the, is that inclusive
That's
of?
inclusive of that 270. That's as of everything right now.
Okay.
A little over $1 million can get you to that.
But that's just for sports, right? Those were just for like booster clubs.
The hospital funds, just funds we have reserved.
No, I mean what the school support.
Yes, no bands, no.
Yeah, no, it wasn't any arts, it wasn't,
Playground equipment.
You know, you might.
I mean, here, so I'm gonna get my own cue and I'm gonna say this real quick. This is why I was against pushing all this forward without going into the budget cycle. I'm not necessarily against helping out Westmoreland. there's a few different ways of looking at this. If we approve the 1.1 million, if we approve either the, and this is gonna go onto the floor, the 240 or whatever it is for Portland, or the 1 million that the schools have given us, it puts us on a slope that is dangerous. What I would like to do, we now, Mr. Becker, you and I both said, we wanted to know what was all out there. We at least have something approved from the school board that was out there. I doubt it's the whole universe of stuff. What I would like to do, here, and I'm going to put this in the form of a motion, is to consider all requests from any school-related nonprofit as part of, just consider it, as part of next year's budget cycle. That's my motion. We have a motion and a second. Go ahead.
Are you speaking on current debt or like Portland quarterback, like recently paid off? So is it?
I mean, they can bring whatever they want, but there's so we can, an entity can bring whatever they want.
Sure.
However, there will be different, depending on if something is paid off or not paid off, there are probably different rules about whether or not we can actually take any action on it. So,
You're not paying the debt anyway, you're just donating to the nonprofit.
right, so,
With an agreement.
I guess you could. So I don't like having to do this, but it's the only way to do it. I mean, to be fair, you kind of have to tell them, and take all comers.
Commissioner Shope, with, your budget cycle is so tight, you might want to consider maybe sending it back to the giving committee to kind of sort through this first.
Well, I may do that. I may actually, I think that's good. I'm thinking about it.
Mr. Becker, then, that may be the best thing to have another.
Well, I can just do it once we,
Well, if they're willing to do it, 'cause it's really not giving, it's kind of.
Well, giving.
Well, it's not charitable, it's more athletic.
But you're gonna have to have a cap on there. I mean, it's.
Yeah, well,
we go
yeah.
through.
Yes, we'll do. We'll get a cap. We'll put a cap on there and say.
Make sure who's most needy.
That's exactly right.
Most needy and
Oh.
distribute.
You're saying-
How do you do that most needy in public school?
They would go through and look at the different
That's
ones.
on,
what
up to
money they brought
that
through.
committee.
Well, they gotta turn in all, they gotta do the application that tells what revenue.
Which
they bring
committee?
in and
The,
do their
Oh,
concessions.
The
so they'll show their
Because some of them get a lot more money for concessions because they're bigger. and
Mr.
other
Becker,
pay
because
more.
I know you're dying over here because we're not in order. Go ahead. We're almost done. You had your hand raised.
Yeah, I did.
He's shared nonprofit.
I'm currently in your.
Multi-year.
Yeah. So,
For your term.
yeah, I was gonna say, sort of what you just touched on. I think the proper path is for the commission to determine an amount, whatever that amount is.
Yeah.
A total amount. I'm gonna make it up just for, whatever, $100,000, which is what the nonprofit, the other committee, or 105. But the commission would approve a number, an amount, and then, to your point, a committee could recommend how to divvy that up.
Is that a motion?
But you're gonna have to have, sorry, Dr. Lee.
Yeah, go ahead.
But you have to have some sort of guidelines. I mean, if you say any school-related, that is now county property. That's not just sports, things,
That's right.
whatever, that's also playground equipment in
That's
elementary
right.
schools.
That's exactly
I
right.
mean, I can remember hawking wrapping paper when I was 5 years old.
I don't know if PTO paid for that, or a nonprofit paid for that, but
At the school that I went to, I know that.
Well, actually, Ms. Bergdorf, and I'm gonna get them on to you.
When you say commission, determine an amount, you mean the bulk amount?
Yeah.
Correct.
You said 100,000, what do you mean, it's like $1 million?
that-
Okay, I just wanna be clear,
So here's the
not
rules.
per school.
No. I mean,
Bulk,
if we
okay.
did do $50,000 per school, we'd be done with it.
Okay.
Here is, I'm gonna amend my motion based on that, because I think it's a good idea. So what, my motion is gonna be this, that, how much is in the hospital fund?
A little over $1 million.
So that we allocate, that we appropriate $1 million, the remaining from the hospital fund.
If it's not spent, the 270, whatever it's not.
Whatever remains from the hospital fund, to to place into an appropriation for, not school-related nonprofit allocations to be determined for disbursement by the, giving committee.
Not school-related?
He said, school-related for nonprofit.
School-related nonprofit.
School support.
School support organizations.
They-
Now, here's the criteria and the guidance I would give to that, in addition to it. That in order for a nonprofit to receive funds, it must show a receipt of a purchase for equipment that has become part of county property. That's my motion.
How long back? How long back?
10 years.
I'm just saying, the reason I'm harping on balance is I think about White House
10 years.
senior citizens and how.
And we can, look, the people can amend it, I'm just.
They have to file,
10 years.
and they have to file the county.
We don't have a second now.
That's how you get all your.
We have a motion and a second.
Amendment.
Okay, well, go ahead.
So I'd like to add on to what I think Mr. Lamb was just getting ready to say, is our nonprofit committee has to go through a process, and they have to fill out an application and present financials. And that's been one of my big concerns as this rolls along, is we were not even following the minimum of our standards.
I've requested those to go with the commission bank.
Yep.
And I know
That's
Mr.
fair.
Long.
Yes, that's fair. I will, you don't have to
I think
amend,
we're gonna give it.
you don't have to amend, I will fold that into my.
And I'd like to underline that we get those documents before we vote, not after we vote. That's been something I've been trying to.
All part of,
Well, they're gonna try to provide my understanding before the resolution's in.
Can I,
understand, but I wanted it.
yeah, no, just to be clear, that's part of it now.
ask a question?
Go ahead, Bruce.
What have we used that hospital fund for in the past?
Oh,
I mean, 'cause at this point, we're about to close it out and drain it.
They constructed the maintenance facility over there at the schools. I'd have to go back. We spent it on, there's $30 million of it, and I'd have to go back and look. I've got a whole list that I can send you tomorrow.
I'm just curious, like,
Yeah, we spent
what are we about to, yes.
We spent 7.5, we had 2.5 of local, just property tax, 7.5 of hospital fund to make $10 million that we gave to the state of Tennessee as a deposit to do the ramp from 386 to 109, that's 7.5 of it.
So it sounds like it's kind of been a catch-all throughout.
Yes, if anything, it's one-time recurring, Forward Sumner got money from it one time,
I'm just, this is the way my mind goes.
short up the insurance fund one time.
So say something like that happens, we had to shore up the insurance fund.
It's in good shape now, but, yeah.
I'm just saying,
Right.
then what happens?
You're gonna have to take it from unassigned, your unassigned fund balance is in pretty good shape. You're gonna have to take it from unassigned, or remove pennies at the beginning of the year and maybe decrease debt service, but the money in the past has been used for matches for like your airport over here in Gallatin. Part of it was used for matches over here in Portland for the airport.
I withdraw a second.
Oh, okay. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? It may die.
I have just another.
No, well, we can't talk on it until we have a second. Do we have a second?
What's the?
What's on the table?
The motion was, I'll restate it, that we appropriate all remaining funds from the, hospital fund to be allocated to school support, organizations as dispersed by the by recommendations through the nonprofit committee up through budget. With the following conditions. One, all of the, nonprofits have to submit appropriate paperwork proving their status. And two, they have to submit any receipts proving that the, equipment that they purchased has in fact become county property. Those are the stipulations on it. That's my motion.
Can you mean application, by the way?
Correct.
Okay, the application.
Everybody use volunteer labor to do something.
I mean, we can only do so much.
Put a price on it.
Put a price
Good
tag on it.
idea.
Now, do we have a second? It may die for a
They
second.
have the bottom line.
Any second?
Mal seconded.
All right, we have a second.
Before you
But then I
go,
wanna make an amendment.
All right, we have an amendment.
I would make an amendment of up to $750.
Okay.
From the hospital fund.
Can I discuss?
I'll second it, okay, then go ahead. So I'll second your
Is
amendment.
there any reason that we have to put a number on it now? Can't we send them out to do their work, tell us how much need they find? Because we might want to go more over if we find a greater need, or we might want to go way under. Why do we set a number before we know what the, because it sounds like it's a big barrel
Well,
of fish.
I gave it, we wanted to do that so that
It doesn't grow out.
so it doesn't go out of control. And so that we have,
Just this list alone is 1.2.
yeah, and the other item here is that, like, with the way the nonprofit committee works now is that it has $100,000 some dollars to play with every year, and so it knows its boundaries. It's kind of like the same conversation we had around the schools earlier. It knows how much it has to allocate. That's why I wanted to give it a hard number. I seconded it.
Quick question, though. Is it gonna have 750, or are you saying it might not even
It's
have?
gonna be some words that's according to how much I decided.
240 or 270. Whether the Westmoreland
The
thing passed.
two,
How about whatever's less than native?
Because that one's skipping here.
no, well,
It's on the floor right
Because
now.
then it would be, is your 750 inclusive of that?
yes.
So it could be 5 something. If that, you
Correct.
want,
So
you
the
want to
nonprofit-
leave $250,000 in that amount, regardless.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So my thought is that the nonprofit committee or whatever would consider the 274 for Westmoreland.
Yeah, but if it passes on the commission, then we're
Correct.
gonna do
If
it.
that passes, then yeah.
So, okay. Any other discussion on this one? All right, we're on the amendment. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
That's the 750 amendment?
That's the
That's
cap at
750. Capping at 750.
Aye.
No.
No.
We have
Wait, who said,
2 noes, and we have 4 ayes. Ayes have it. Now we're on the main. All in favor? Aye. All right. Are you
I
aye?
don't remember oh.
The main is his.
Oh, yes, yes.
So, I'll do it again. The main is his amendment. It
Yes.
passes right out. All in favor?
Real quick.
Is this in conjunction with the budget cycle?
With all in conjunction with the budget.
Okay. I'm
He
good.
wants to put a request in the original budget of.
Correct.
Whatever's left of the
It's
hospital.
everything I said, but only up to $750,000, inclusive of the 240 or 270 from Westmoreland.
So, no, do you want to leave about 2 or 3?
50 in there regardless of what happens.
We'll make it match and you make it.
Yeah, to clarify, if the Westmoreland gets approved in 2 weeks, then that 750 would drop to
500.
5, whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
5,
You want to leave about
450.
250?
Yeah, that's right. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, so motion carries. Okay, motion to adjourn.
Can I make one comment first?
Go
Just
ahead.
one, I'll make it quick, and it's just a comment, because I think that this
Go ahead.
committee needs to know. If Mr. Long could, address that we have additional ARPA money coming our way potentially, and I just need it on your mind. I know you don't want to,
Can you
but they need
can
to
you just send
know,
an email?
potentially.
All right.
There could be 1.8 million additional.
Yeah, see.
Or Portland, it's for Portland, Westmoreland.
Internal.
We're trying to pick our millions, we're trying to pick our millions. We don't know if we got it in there, or we applied for it.
How many, we go to the new stadium.
It's